up to 6 teams that you could reasonably send to international events, right? So, hopefully, as you said, they right the ship and get this man to MSI to try to win his 4th MSI title. But that is still a long way away. I have not packed for the trip yet or anything like that, so I'm not too worried about it right now.
Yeah, at the moment, looks like Care, he's packing the butcher skin. And he's going to go to work on the Super Galaxy Rumble. Yeah, he's got the meats. We'll see if he's got the axes to boot. As this 1v1 going to be very Rumble favored early on. As Care is going to have trouble getting access to those axes. And those harpoons going to be really nice for trying to kite things out and keep Olaf where he is before level 6 comes in.
This could be the only time we see a Rumble in the series, Champion has been banned pretty often. Not something that is too crazy to come out of like Breathe or Sheer, so who knows, maybe the teams won't ban it, just give it to one of them, but you can see the power of him in a strict 1v1, and regardless if it was an Olaf or a more meta top laner, Rumble will still do this to you.
Yeah, getting the push in those early waves. As at least when Olaf goes, though, he does have access to that bonus attack speed. But again, I don't think Care pre-6 can really do much here against Xiaohu, who is going to continue with these levels to push up, force Care off, and force Care to hopefully miss some XP, as that's the likely goal here, as utilizing that Strength Rumble to push Olaf around early, who really needs 6 to function in this matchup yet again.
Yeah, for those who may not notice at the bottom of the screen, the 1v1s have changed compared to Split 1. There's no 100 CS anymore. If you've not been paying too much attention to the 1v1s, the Knight gets dropped down, but a barrier in response. So, what you're getting out of denying the CS here is just denying the extra gold that Kara can get for that first back. And one thing that I learned recently is that the first back is empowered, apparently.
Hey, get to go fast, back to base, try and catch these minions on the way back. Care keeping this wave in front of him. Will be nice before 6. Of course, Xiaohu will ding 6 first. But Care keeping this wave close enough, at least has access to the XP, will not drop any, will match 6. And now just curious what the first base ends up being. I gotta believe that we're gonna see Olaf rock a Hex Drinker here, Yanni. As he's dealing with this Rumble, and then we'll just kind of go from there.
Yeah. You think he's gonna go into boots at all? I see some going to boots, right? I mean, for Olaf specifically, you get to be a little bit more sticky at that point. When you pop your Ragnarok, obviously Ragnarok is really just going to help you against the slows of the tasers, and obviously everything else you get with it. But we'll see what the move is for Kara. See what he wants to do. As,
see, if I'm Xiaohu, I definitely want to grab boots. Just to try and kite out this Olaf and avoid those 1v1s. So I almost feel like Olaf has to grab boots just to match and try and keep up with Rumble. So likely be the case. Still, Hex Drinkers where you're going to get a lot of that value, and a lot of that money can go. As Carrot's been doing a decent job of sidestepping a couple of these harpoons.
Oh, and you good, brother?
He's going to be playing for the wave here. He's down a little bit in CS. Carrot's absorbing more. Doing a decent job here.
Yeah, Xiaohu has been dropping a lot of CS. We see a Knight on. The undertows are there to slow him up. They're trying to catch up. Maybe 1 or 2 more undertows, but he did see the power of the slows. Wait a minute. Care does not have flash available. He did not pick it. Xiaohu will burn hits.
Good find there from Care. Going to be able to absorb most of this wave and get the next one in. Important for him. So base priority. Care will be up on the first base. And of course, tease the Xiaohu could potentially grab those sneakers in order to try and kite out this Olaf. Just going to get the base kit. Not going to upgrade those anytime soon.
I saw somebody with an empowered recall the other day. How did they do that? They did not have symbiotic souls.
I'm not sure. Maybe it's taking a plate or a certain timer in the game.
Am I crazy?
Oh, you were not crazy. I saw that as well. Maybe it's first blood. Maybe you need that.
You know what? That sounds right. That sounds beneficial. I wish I could read all the rules for this, but honestly, I don't really have them on hand. Oh, maybe talk for a little bit. I want to go take a look at see if the rules show up.
We're gonna buy some time here. See if Yanni can.
Okay, so the rules don't show up on 1v1 side selection.
We need the empowered recall rules. That's what Yanni needs on the custom ARAM map that encourages these 1v1s as we side select and LPL the fun way.
I'm peeking at the Leakpedia here. And
it's a work in progress. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, you know, I don't see anything about that. So you know, I'll have to find the conditions. Have to go back, look at the archives. Perhaps the archives are incomplete. You know, what's not
Pretty
incomplete
nice.
is this Hex Shrinker.
Pretty nice there for Kara, the fact that he was able to cue that wave with the Hex Shrinker into Caulfield's Warhammer and just delete it. Of course, level 10, so has max points into the queue. And
He takes a lot of damage. That taser did much more than I thought it was going to do.
yeah. So if he's able to hit the wave, it does have access to some sustain, and his passive that will only get better as he goes lower. If he's able to delete the back wave like this, that's again, at least he can use that to, you know, maybe set something up later on. At least he's getting his CS and not getting pushed off by Rumble, as he's going to look for another reset. Could help with wrapping up that Maw and having it for this upcoming fight.
47 seconds until the Ring of Fire begins to move in.
At top right in your screen.
Yep, once the Ring of Fire moves in, it is the first kill. So we will see some fireworks soon. Xiaohu probably going to wait for his flash to come up before anything. Care. Both summoners up, no flash, but hopefully no problem. At least he's hoping. As Maul by Mortius has been completed, we get yet another Null Magic Mantle. And, you know, hopefully we don't have a scenario where a player backs while the Ring of Fire is moving.
There is a chance that Kara could base again with plate money. As he's got 10 seconds, so yeah, could try and sneak his way back in. Ring of Fire to take a little bit to get going. So will be a better buy here for Kara. If he's able to sneak back, will be stopped by Xiaohu.
Yeah, he's got to stay now because that ring is
ring's
out.
up.
So good on Xiaohu. He's got his first completed item as well. Looking to at least take the health relic, cause some problems here. Equalizer going to go down. He wants to fight on top of it. Burning and burning and burning. His Care is down to half HP. The heal cuts there too. He's overheated, but Care getting some pretty big shields. It's going to be close, and I think it's going to be Care taking it. Wins the 1v1 with the Olaf. Wanted to ask him a question. Question answered. He can win the 1v1.
Olaf mowed him down to the end as he managed to really find Xiaohu in the awkward point of the map. I know that the equalizer being dropped, it stopped the autos coming in, the Ragnarok extending because Olaf didn't want to fight on that terrain. But yeah, the back half of the fight, even down Ragnarok, Olaf was still able to get all those autos off, those under toes hitting. So easy 1v1 pick up for Care, playing that top lane. Olaf into that Rumble and getting his team an expected blue side could be big for, you know, we're talking about picks like Talia being really important here for FPX. Just, again, grabbing blue side, you get that first pick, that fourth ban against an enemy team where you get first dibs on that champion. We did see how important Talia was for FPX yesterday in that win over anyone's Legend and why it's been such high priority for them really throughout the split.
Yeah, you know, there's a couple of priorities they can definitely have here because Sheer has played some games at Jace. Obviously, we know Jace has been, you know, getting picked and banned around a little bit. Obviously, in the jungle, Nefiri, you know, Shadow has had some really good games on Nefiri. So, you know, I wonder if they'll try to, you know, go to the Nefiri into being open, and maybe Weibo decides they're not afraid of it. But then that also means that, like, Talia gets to go over to Weibo. So I think I'm with you on the first pick, Talia, for Weibo, because in Xiaohu's career, a Talia pick has almost certainly meant a game victory. He has had a 70% win rate on that champion in his career. So it's like a free win every time he gets it.
Yeah, I gotta say, we haven't seen a lot of B1 Talia, but I think it would really speak to how important the pick is to FPX and the priority that they put on this to really even be able to consider that. And curious what kind of pick ban phase we get from Weibo, of course, on red side, where we are still seeing the Gwen banned out consistently on red this patch, and still have to consider taking away something like Nefiri as well, as Shadow has put up big games on it. So Weibo going to start by taking away that Callista, sign that they may not be willing to play that Talia themselves.
Pretty interesting to see all these 80 carries go by the wayside, right? You know, Light, we talked about that his big three champions in his career not really good right now. So, you know, if you put him on an Ezreal, you put him on a Varus, sure, you know, any player in the LPL can make these champions work, right? But maybe not as efficient. Maybe he's not playing at 100% total. You can see this Talia getting taken out. So FPX isn't even thinking about taking it first themselves.
Yeah, not willing to B1 it. I think it's a little bit safer to R1, R2. Maybe some other picks up that they really want to B1 is you got to believe that a Gwen ban's coming out here. We did see Sheer play that Scion in. We left Gwen up. Gwen and Rumble are both up, so I guess they're willing to make that handshake here. Weibo is. We'll see what side FPX wants. Is if they, you got to believe it's Rumble or Gwen coming in, or they could leave both up and take Vi, which is going to be the case. Okay, this is pretty interesting start to the draft.
I actually don't mind this, right? Because unless you're going to flex Gwen into the jungle, you will still get your choice of Rumble or Gwen, and this is a good takeaway from TN. So I'm actually kind of for it, and it gives Shadow a lot of agency in this game. So we will have to see how things develop, and of course, if you pick a Gwen, you're going to have to make sure, as Weibo, you have ways to enable her later on in the game, so it will kind of pigeonhole you into certain things.
I mean, if you want to get really crazy here, too, even an option to first pick Ambessa, play it into the Gwen, and then if you do drop game 1 as FPX, a chance to take the Rumble first pick in game 2, which could be quite valuable, as I do find that Sejuani ban quite peculiar. But at least Weibo used it to get their hands on this Gwen, and will look to actually deny the Ahri away from this Vi Ahri combo. So if that ends up being the call, I would love to see a Ryze come in, or really an Akali come in too for Care. I feel like those couple of champs, especially something like Akali, being able to overwhelm, maybe even one-shot the Gwen early on in fights could be really big.
Yeah, and this does mean that Weibo is almost assuredly locked into Xin Zhao on 3, because obviously you're not going to pick it on 2 there. You're going to pick the Ahri to take it away from that Vi combo and then give yourself that strong combo. You know, and as we mentioned, the door is still open for Rumble. That will get locked in, so you can have that nice level 6 power for the side of FPX, and a dive buddy coming over with that Vi in the form of the Kai'Sa.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time talking about the Tawia and the Globals and like the Scion, the Panth, and the Kai'Sa had in that first game, which FPX did beat anyone's legend in just yesterday. Awesome's Kai'Sa was a big part of that. It was a lower damage comp with the Scion and Tawia showing. Kai'Sa can make up for all the damage in the world if you are able to execute it. My concern this game is that they don't necessarily need the damage of the Kai'Sa, just taking it to really follow up on the Vi Rumble. And if you aren't careful into Gwen MF, the overextending into those champions can be very punishing. As Weibo, a lot of scaling with the Gwen. It feels like Ahri and MF is trying to bridge the game there to make sure that Gwen does get going in the later stages. Of course, a lot of the changes made to Gwen do make her stronger much earlier, but it still feels like she has a lot of that power late. Some of it was moved out of the R into other stuff, so going through those queues can be really challenging.
Galio taken away, Xin taken away, so not a big surprise there, but that does provide some protection for Hung to be able to either get his choice of a Rel or maybe a Rakan, something that works really well with Misfortune. So like the metagaming there is Nautilus will get taken off the board to make sure that Xiaohu on Ahri can kind of roam free a little bit, and Light can set his feet in these fights.
Yeah, would it be surprised if we just see Leona slammed here by Hong? As I
could do that.
Not exactly sure if he wants to Rel here. Rel would be nice for the MF, but not take away maybe signals that a little bit more potential to grab Rel. I know that jungle's already showing. You don't necessarily want to blind support, but I do think that with the Pantheon here, a strong jungle pick for TN, but a lot of early game again showing for Weibo that can be countered here by FPX, who already have the scaling of the Kai'Sa. Rumble can do wonders later on. It really is only the Gwen that's going to get them that big damage at the later stages right now for Weibo, with a lot of early game power showing around it.
Rel going to be taken away, so going to break up that Misfortune Rel combo. We'll see what the move is going to be for Care here, if he does want to go into that Azir, and he does. So going to match a little bit of late game for late game here, at least in the form of some of these solo laners. Now we'll see the Alistar come through. No surprise there. Try to keep this Rel from disrupting the team. Try to keep Vi out.
Yeah, I think Alistar being able to find that in the back half going to really help Weibo with the fact that they lack that true tank. So being able to pop that ultimate, catch some CC, and try and get off 2 spell rotations in the fight could be really nice for Hong and Weibo. But FPX, I got to say that I've seen them win on comps like this. It feels like they are a team that they have the capability of piloting this Rumble, and we've seen what Awesome can do on Kai'Sa over the top. For Weibo, I think they really need to be disciplined about how they use the early strength. The Pantheon really strong early. See him able to push around a lot of jungle matchups, including the Vi. And MF against Kai'Sa, have to keep that Kai'Sa down. So for me, really looking for Weibo to get those early leads and then see how they are going to be able to snowball them across the map in this early game.
Yeah, Shadow and Care might have a bit of a tough time, right? Because early on, you know, a Vi pre-6, obviously a lot less strength, a lot of the strength of her kit coming from that ultimate. And then Azir, as we know, doesn't really become a champion at least until he hits 6. And even then, not his strongest point of the game. So there are worries that Tian and Xiaohu can just run this game. And it would be really nice to see, if you're a Weibo fan, a classic Xiaohu performance on a champion that he's played quite a bit of, and come in and just absolutely ruffle stomp this game out of the jungle and mid lane.
Out of the jungle and mid lane. Well, we'll see if that's the case here for Weibo. Is again, weaker opponent today in FPX, but still looking for convincing wins from Weibo to try and convince us that they can be a top 4 team in this league.
Yeah, you need to avoid the soup. The soup of 5, 6, 7, 8. That's it's not where you want to be, especially because that means if you get to the bracket stage, you're going to be going up against some of these top 4 teams. They are world beaters. You'd rather be up there than playing against them. You know, unless you're like the 5th seed, I'm sure you could live with that. Crowd's not awake yet. That's all right.
Yeah. The FPX fans really aren't awake yet. All right, you really set him up for that one. As
I respect that fan so much.
I gotta say the soup joke he made about 5 through 8 and being out of the soup. This format really answers the age-old question of 5, 6, 7, 8. Who do we appreciate? 1, 2, 3, and 4 as you get that pass over the playoffs, right? The main stage.
You know who we do appreciate? We definitely have an appreciation for Soup and Mong. Because those guys are elite Ko-Fi supporters. So, the Coffee supporters, appreciate them. Aaron Soup just has the perfect name for this one. And then, of course, we got to get Mong in there, too.
I thought my time was fun. Yanni's was very fun. As lane start, both junglers starting on the bot side of the jungle, working their way up towards top. So, action in that Rumble versus Gwen lane. Possibility. As Sheer, curiously enough, actually going for the phase rush in this build. So, maybe trying to kite out a potential EQ from Gwen, get out of the sweet spot of the snips. I feel like that's why you pass up on the comment. That would make a lot of sense to me. Or the Conqueror as well. So we'll see if Sheer is able to execute that with a different keystone at the top line.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it doesn't seem like you'll be running over the Gwen or anything like that because of the exhaust from Breathe. So it makes a little bit more sense to make sure that you're not the one who's going down, especially being able to outrun a Pantheon too, and make sure that once these early team fights come through and you start contesting these objectives, you're on a fair amount of strength to be able to help your team, because that's what we need to see out of FPX, right? Especially in this game 1. You know, this is a team that has won a couple of game 1s against some really good teams. They will smack you in the mouth early, just like Care is smacking Xiaohu in the mouth right now. And, you know, Weibo, if they're not careful, they will get snake bitten. They will find themselves down 1-0 and then kind of be backs against the wall at that.
And that's really what the key is here for FPX. I think this comp, they do need a little bit of scaling. And for me, FPX, when we have seen them look good, they have an idea of how to play out some of their early games and early lanes. We just haven't been able to see them really snowball that from start to finish to find consistent enough wins. And when they do trip up, I don't think they adapt very well, which is definitely something we're going to look for today. Also, specifically Game 2 yesterday, I thought that FPX had the scaling comp into anyone's legend and played their hand way too fast, contesting dragons and neutral objectives they could have afforded to drop in the game to not play into their enemy, who had better position and a stronger comp at hand when they did have a scaling advantage. Want to see if FPX is able to play better around that today. As cute Q there from Shadow snuck in. I don't think Xiaohu spotted it. And he's actually hovering on the wrong side. That ward's giving him false info, so a chance that Shadow finds a Q flash here.
Yeah, he's not playing toward his jungler either, but now Shadow gets out of there, gets immediately spotted, runs into Tian, which means we could see some problems here. The stuns are out. The electrocutes are getting proc. The shields are there too. Shadow is going to be forced to flash away.
Of course, if he did get any lower at high risk for Pantheon crits coming through, of course that Pantheon passive can work overtime. So good find there by Tian. That Pantheon really, really scary to run into at level 4. As Shui gonna look, but ends up dropping short as the Ignite comes down on his face, and that's actually no action on the bot side. So FPX, that first look, are gonna be neutralized off of, I guess, a nice play from Tian, and a little bit unfortunate from Shadow that he gave up his positioning there, because it was quite good to sneak into that brush.
Yeah, just not quite there, not quite willing to trust himself. And, you know, what's really interesting is that Xiaohu had kind of moved down a little bit toward the bottom side, away from his jungler, just a tad, right? Which I think tipped off Shadow that, like, oh man, maybe they know I'm in here, right? And his jungler's on the spot side, so it was just that little bit of positioning that made him fall for that. And now have his flash down, and you know that flash will be down for when he's level 6, I believe. So, you know, at least for a little bit, he won't have the extra range to be able to ult somebody.
Yeah, and of course the Panthari, I guess same idea as Viari, but not quite as lethal, as Pantheon only has one button to guarantee the lockdown, not a couple, as the Q, of course, packs a bump and CC and assist. Well, that is truly lockdown CC, if you describe it as such.
Gotta get a lot closer, too, as Pantheon,
yeah.
you know?
Weibo currently trying to lock down the map. Of course, a misfortune with that strut passive. And her strength early game, if you get pushed, it's really nice to rotate out of the lane. And this rotation will catch FPX off guard, as Sheer just going to ult that wave to delete it. But Weibo's bot lane able to get a little bit of free time in the lane, and accrue a tad bit of a lead going up against Awesome, which again can be very big, as you want to really try and keep this Kai'Sa down.
And Sheer dropping his ultimate on that wave a couple moments ago. Just a mulligan that FPX is not interested in taking these grubs at all. They will go and take their dragon. Now, you do lose quite a bit here by giving up grubs, right? Breathe is going to make great use of them later on in the game. Even Xiaohu is going to be able to do his thing. You've got one really strong solo laner and one pretty damn good one. You know, but the FPX solo laners as well should be able to hold their own at least. But if Weibo start getting advantages, these turrets will melt.
Yeah, I'm just kind of interested now where Weibo puts their priority in this 1v2. How long do they want to be in this formation? Because I think that the Gwen's really benefiting here, just being 1v1 up against a Kai'Sa, but Kai'Sa can be very scary to give over that solo gold, solo XP to. So just curious if they want to try and break Gwen out of that matchup before she falls. Or I should say when they want to break her out, because she will have a lead against Rumble once they are able to get the 1v1 going, as Breathe is absorbing solo XP and solo gold, whereas Sheer is sharing. So I'm curious how much longer Weibo want to keep this up, because they really are trading power into the Kai'Sa for power into the Gwen.
Oh, this is going to be real bad. Sheer is going to have to run away, and he is stuck. The triple threat of Weibo is here. First blood going to be picked up by Tian.
Yeah, Tian burns the ult, going to be gifted the kill for his use of time, as Hong going to cancel the base of Zhui, and that answer for at least keeping the lanes in that 2v2, that Rumble a little bit too far up for Tian's liking, and he is able to burn that semi-global to get a positive play for Weibo in their favor.
Yeah, not only that, during that time, Tian was able to go into the top jungle of Shadow, take away that Gromp, and then on the other side, Shadow tried to take away, but Breathe stopped him. So, you know, now Shadow is losing out on a couple camps. Sure, he is up a lot of CS right now, but you'll see very shortly that get equalized, as he's going to try to lie in wait, make a play on Breathe.
Of course, no flash on this Gwen.
Oh, he got spotted.
Was spotted there, though. Nice toggle from our observers. We'll see if Breathe was
did he
aware.
not? I don't think Breathe saw him, and now the equalizer on top of his head. Doesn't matter that you exhaust him. That's plenty of damage.
I guess Breathe didn't see him, as that was a little funky, Yanni.
There was a lot of funk on that play. That was the funkiest play I've ever seen in my life, bro. Shadow is out here doing moves reminiscent of the 80s. But yeah, I just cannot believe that this was allowed. I mean, I'm sure they'll show the toggle again. Yeah, just a split second.
Yep. Well, I'm perplexed.
This is the problem that we've been talking about, right? You know,
yeah.
The solo laners of Weibo not playing up to their standards, right? Classic, you know, proving of concept there, as Awesome is going to have to burn his ultimate, try to stay away, keep himself alive. As he's been put in a lot of 2v1 scenarios, and while he's been able to get his, does mean that he hasn't been able to be too active so far.
I'm still just so shocked that Breathe went down there. That was such an
Too busy
awesome
breathing.
Yeah, and Hong.
Okay.
He's gonna walk down into the river and get found and
oh.
probably go down.
Yep, yeah, he's gonna go down. Shadow was able to get there in time. Picks up his, Kara picks up his first of the game, and now Tien staying a little bit long here after that play, but the Vi ult is not available. They do not see light around that corner, so he will be able to just barely make it out of there.
At no smite for Tien, loses that buff to the smite of Shadow. Good find from Shadow, who again we were complimentary of when it came to these early game plans and direction. When FPX were winning games, especially on their way to make it to Group Ascend, it was off of the game plans and execution from Shadow that they were finding some of those leads. So in this one, I know that the gold, it's even, not exactly in their favor, but still Shadow making a couple positive plays here, Yanni, to make sure this team has a good chance. Has been nice to see that continuation for FPX again. We have seen them win some games, but still not really convinced of them as real contestants or even like threats in this group, Yanni. Just the fact that we have yet to see them find those series wins, and in their losses, they've not looked good.
Yeah, I like that they've been at least a bit proactive in this game. Yeah, they had a couple of oopsies and they were given a gift by Weibo, but, you know, at least taking action on them, right, and getting the job done, as FPX will split the grubs even here. And the Dragon up in about 15 seconds with multiple members of Weibo on the bottom side. Perhaps a dive and a Drake is in the cards.
It's still cleaning up the
It is definitely in the cards.
Hong.
Hong is just going to drop his ultimate down and tank up this turret, and they mob Sheer.
No chance to win out on that dive, as Sheer has to get through an empowered cow, and that cow could not be moved in the bot lane as Hong. No minion wave needed to pull off that dive. Yeah, that said, that dive could be it. I do like the response from Shadow and Jue. I mean, in the end, it's going to be 3 grubs and a second dragon for FPX. The first part of feats secured for just the dive bot for Weibo. So, again, on paper, not exactly these... Oh, hold on.
Oh, wait, okay. So Tien could not steal it, but Shadow is stuck back here. Is he actually able to get out? Yeah, Tien not going to commit his flash. He saw multiple members in the area and decides that he's not going to go for that. So a nice steal there out of FPX and their jungler.
And again, going back to the big picture, like, yes, Rumble gets dove, goes down, but you're trading that for grubs, for Dragon. That's okay. If you are FPX, Sheer, a little bit behind in this game and behind on the curve, will need a bit of help to make sure that you can get back in it. But if you drop a good equalizer, you can always be useful as Rumble no matter what kind of items you're sitting at. Whereas if Gwen's down in items, you're not nearly as useful as a Rumble is. So, again, I feel like a lot was traded to set that Rumble behind and maybe open things up for Gwen now than what was actually worth it. So we'll see if Breathe can pay off the small lead that he does have as he gets back into his side lane.
And I'm not really sure if this is the member you really want to set behind, right? Especially with FPX having some of their problems in fights. You know, Care has been unabated this entire game so far. He's 1-0. He's CSing just fine. He's going to get a plate for himself there. And, you know, this is right on schedule. Now, the schedule is going to take some time. It's not like Weibo don't have opportunities to make plays before he gets big, but it's something to keep in the back of your mind, right? Is that this Azir is really just allowed to do what he wants so far, 13 minutes into the game.
Yep. Yeah, I think the idea is that they're going to try and play outside of the range of Azir and around it, as Breathe can get caught.
It's going to be hard to do when Care goes all the way in and he finds his second kill of the game. Now, let's see if Xiaohu is going to look for more here. Doesn't have the Spirit Rush available. Charm is not going to land, and the rest of Weibo cannot catch up.
Good sidestep from Care, who really was the one that set up, executed that play onto Breathe, was able to find him in the brush, stop that base, and the Gwen goes down yet again. So Weibo looking for the answer, but Care able to shift the sands right on out of there. And this is not bad for FPX, who continue to farm up these side lanes for Weibo, looking for these plays bot and not really finding anything.
Oh no, his leap got interrupted, and the tank up is going to be there. And the Ignite will not give it over to Hung. That means Xiaohu will get his first of the game. This low damage, high uptime RE.
That was not played very well by Xiaohu, who got that crash down canceled the back half by the Ahri, and was not able to escape with his life. So Weibo getting a little something back, but it's still Sheer is able to pick up most of that wave and prevent the turret from going down. So the war for first brick, Yanni, really is on.
Let's see who's going to be able to get that scoop up all that extra gold.
FPX got
FPX already have feats.
Yeah, it's fine.
So, I mean, we're just, we're worried about who's getting first turret. That's still valid, my friend. That's still very valid.
Points are down now. For me, the challenge is FPX again. We didn't see them do a great job of playing out 3 lanes yesterday. When you have Rumble and Azir, you have the opportunity to try and play out 3 lanes. Important because you're trying to get farm to make sure both these characters, or champions, I should say, have the damage necessary to get through their counterparts on Weibo. But this is where FPX really tripped up yesterday against anyone's Legends. So it'll be good to see him have a cleaner game playing out the 1-3-1 today.
My goodness, Xiaohu gets chunked really hard. And, for those who say that Ahri build is low damage, just like I said a moment ago, well, if you're 4 levels up, it'll do plenty of damage. Team suffering around the Rift Herald. 40 seconds until that one's up. Next Dragon in about a minute and 20 seconds. And FPX is going to want to find a way to snag that one. You get on Soul Point. You get so much control of the map. You force the enemy team to go where you want them to go.
Especially when it's the strength that something like Mountain Soul does bring to the Rift. So honestly, a really big dragon here for FPX, being able to pick that off and threaten Soul for the rest of the game. Still feel like there is some strength in their champions at the moment, but Weibo is a comp right now that could be really strong if they want the fight. Just have to be careful navigating around this Rumble. And we'll see if they want to pull the trigger and actually look for a fight here, as there are no summoner spells that are down on the side of FPX that can be really punishable. So might be a challenge for Weibo to try and find this skirmish. Of course, have Rift Herald to play to, as well as that dragon that's spawning shortly. You got to imagine that dragon for Weibo a little bit more important, trying to deny that soul point now, especially if they do think that their comp is stronger now, and I think their comp does bring a lot of strength to the table here, especially on that Pantheon.
Yeah, and only 3 grubs apiece does mean that, while Rift Herald is very good, it's not exactly going to be a world-beating objective to pick up unless you are able to get so much off of it. With Kara up in the top side and generally dominating right now, should mean that FPX is just going to take the time to go pick up that Rift Herald, and it looks like they will. Nobody on the Dragon yet for Weibo, which means they may fancy themselves a fight here. Herald down to about 5,000 HP. Tian does have his ultimate available. The Herald is getting chunked even lower. Looks like they're looking to go all the way in. It's smite and secured by Shadow, but Shadow is caught in the pit with 2 members of Weibo, but now Hung is in there, and sure, he's got his ultimate, but the rest of his team is able to buy space for him to be able to walk out, but the objective does go to FPX.
I mean, big thing was, too, they actually got Breathe off the Dragon. I believe Breathe started soloing it as that Rift play was evolving. He pulled off to go join his team, so that Dragon take will be grabbed in the back half by Weibo, but it's delayed, and in that time where it's delayed, Care gonna not just pick up the outer turret, but Shui also dropping that Rift Herald. They should be able to get a crash.
This will be good, and a lot of teams, they'll make the breakneck pace play of trying to dive. Xiaohu does not have his ultimate available, so maybe we'll see a move like that happen here. Assume is coming through as well. The turret is going to fall, and they're going to look for Xiaohu. The charm is out, but here comes Awesome to the backline, and he gets punted into the turret, but there's the Emperor's Divide, as Hung has to flash away as he watches his Ahri fall.
And it's another game won 2 days back-to-back where FPX taking it to one of the better teams we have in the LPL, and this time around, I really like the map call they had there. Again, understanding how important these dragons are, how important it is to deny a soul point from FPX. FPX say, fine, you want control over that side of the map? We'll give it. We'll take the Herald. We'll go for the crash and even find the play afterwards as Xiaohu, down ult from the last series of events, does flash, but Awesome was able to go over the top and help clean this one up with, of course, Kara. A nice Emperor's Divide to push Weibo back. Gets the flash from Hong, too, in the back half. Just a good play, good overload, playing away from that neutral objective, accepting that it's going to be dropped, and finding a lot of gold they can throw in their pockets now. And that lead, as they come back out on the map, continues as Kara is eliminating this bot outer turret.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's on 2 items now. That's a huge lead. He's up about 1,500 gold, and FPX really kind of firing on all cylinders here in this first game, making really smart map plays, but it has to continue. Now the soul stacking is not something that you're going to have, so you might have to dogfight for one of these dragons. And of course, we have seen many teams throw around Otacon, which will be coming up in 35 seconds. So, you know, FPX, if they're smelling themselves a little bit too much here, they could bite off a bit more than they can chew.
Yeah, curious to see, you know, Joue's able to find more angles in these fine sports. Did burn that flash rail power play. I think it was a positive to pick up the inner turret and Xiaohu, but that power play not available for a potential Otacon fight that could emerge here shortly. Will be synced up with the dragon spawn. So potential for Weibo there to look. As, again, down fight, I think it's really important right now that they're actually getting on top of this Azir. And then when Awesome dives in, if they are able to interact with him at all whatsoever, it can be really, really important for Weibo. Their champs do pretty well in the champs that have to jump into them. So I think there is potential for the Alistar, the Pantheon, to really interrupt and make FPX's life hard as Jouet. Life-saving ward there. Going to get the bad news and give his team info. They should be dropping this turret. They don't need to look for that one. It's going to fall on its own as Breed takes care of business.
I'm always worried when he walks into an unwarded bush now because of what's happened earlier. But FPX, and you know, I think making a bit of a miscue there, right? Awesome in the mid lane. Shadow was on the top side, means that, you know, they were going to lose something there essentially for free. Sure, you got that shove on the top side, right? But Breathe does have teleport available. You have all this vision that you still have to clear out on the bottom side. You're not really establishing anything for this next objective fight.
That's the nice part about those inners going down. Yes, it's a big gold injection, but then you can afford to go -2 on the waves. We saw that there, right? With Sheer pushing 2 waves up top, getting that one in nice and deep. But Breathe can just kind of take his time picking it up and see if he can get other stuff done on the Gwen. Speaking of him, we'll have a Nashor's Tooth coming in pretty soon, as that is the new build. And Hong has been caught flashless.
Yeah, he's near nobody. He's trying desperately to get back to his team. The bullet time, but they're undeterred. Our FPX, Jouet is going to get credit for that kill, and the Otacon will be started. Breathe does have a teleport available if they want to fight a 5v4. We know Otacon can do a lot of shred, but it looks like Weibo are not interested.
Likely to be the withdraw this game with just the lack of damage and skirmishing that we've seen going on and going around. I will say the scary part about this, upcoming dragon says, oh wait, wow, Rose is I'm a little bit surprised about that. As not a lot of kills on the board, don't feel like a ton of damage has been traded around, but it will be the Roses for FPX. Another nice win for them. They're going to keep those experience bars nice and high. And I will say it gives them a clean reset in time to contest this upcoming dragon too. So no Baron on the map, all eyes on this dragon. We'll see how easy this setup ends up being for FPX if they're able to do it right.
Yeah, Kair's flash is going to be up for this next fight too. Joue's flash is up for this fight. Kair also, to mention, has Seeker's arm guard, so we'll have that relative safety if something goes wrong. And, you know, we haven't seen Sheer drop a really strong equalizer yet, and I imagine this would be the right time, right? This would be a huge fight win for FPX. It would propel them very far into the game. 15 seconds until it spawns. FPX are the first ones into the river. Teleport burnt by Xiaohu. Breathe still has his teleport available. Sheer's going to match him in the top lane. So we'll have a 4v4 for right now as wards are just being cleared out in the jungle.
Weibo going to play the lane first before they play the objective. FPX thinking the same thing. Kara doing a decent job trying to hold the choke here, but it doesn't. No turrets being taken, no use of his Azir passive here, just standard ones holding.
Uh-oh.
Kair.
They found Kair. He's got to flash away,
flash.
so not going to have that tool to go back in, but they're going to go for the fight. Teleports are coming in. Down goes Pantheon as Xiaohu does have a couple of charges to go in. Maybe land a big charm. Flashes are getting burnt, but here comes the equalizer on the other side. Breathe is going to use the hollowed mist to try to get away, and it looks like he will. Xiaohu is out of dashes. Sheer is shoving them away, and the dragon started by FPX.
It should be enough for FPX to get the dragon, and do want to credit Kair with that fight, Yanni, because the engage was onto him. Once they saw the Q being used by Azir, that's really what prompted the trigger pull to engage onto Kair, but his flash got him out of the chain CC that was being attempted by Xiaohu. Made sure that he was able to DPS throughout the fight, and I think it was the big difference maker, make sure that FPX won.
Yeah, it was really sketchy. We talked about he would have these tools to be able to get out of this fight, but that flash was picture perfect. And then, of course, as you mentioned, the re-engaged Kair just able to do so much damage to help Awesome take out the Pantheon.
I really like how Care played that one. Even that equalizer from Sheer just to split him up. No, they didn't find him looking back half.
We're fighting again. Teleports are coming in. Tiana's joined the fight. Light is here too. Big double knockups coming through. This could be a bad one for FPX. As Shadow's got to flash out, but they're able to trade back on the Hong. Sheer being a bit of a savior there.
The port for sport trade ends up being even, and something that honestly, quite frankly, looked bad for FPX off the bat, Yanni, but Sheer was in the fight and absolutely roasted some beef in the back half. So we managed to make things a 1-for-1, but a little bit feisty there from Breathe, who I think importantly survives and gets to keep himself out on the map, because his economy isn't exactly where it needs to be this game, Yanni, if they want to take over. This Gwen, yes, it's kind of fed, but you need to be ahead of the curve on this champion. That's when you really, truly become the menace that is getting banned in pretty much every lobby we see this this split. So I really feel like third item is big there.
Yeah, not only that, I mean, Gwen is a champion that, for maximum effectiveness, needs to be in a fight for quite some time. This build out of Xiaohu is also very similar, and these fights are not lasting that long. There's a lot of damage coming out from FPX. Take a look at the replay here. I mean, Breathe just walks into an unwarded bush, and that's where all the trouble starts.
It was good peel coming out from Hong. And
oh my goodness.
Yeah, he couldn't do much in the back half once the Harpoon connects, and of course he was down ultimate, as that was a back-to-back skirmish off the back of the Dragon. So not able to sneak his way out of that one, but all is okay. Weibo still alive in this game 1, Yanni. But again, it's been a much more competitive game for FPX, and I do want to give them some credit. It really feels like this is a team that has had some decent looks in stuff like game 1. We have seen them come out of the gate with some good game plans, so I feel like stuff is being talked about behind the scenes there. It's just we haven't been able to see this team consistently put it together enough. And they have put it together this game, but we've also seen some games where once the script gets broken, they don't exactly know how to respond or what to do. So I want to see FPX try and keep their cool, because they are in a good position to take this game off Weibo.
Without a doubt, Cubby, but you know that Weibo, the veterans that they are, will find a way to try to throw a wrench in the plans of FPX. This Baron is on the map. This Dragon is up in 2 more minutes, and one thing we haven't seen a lot is Weibo's pick potential. I think FPX has done a great job at grouping up in a lot of cases, but Weibo just hasn't been able to get inside the jungle of FPX. The only member that's really had any troubles has been Zhui, and we haven't seen anything more, right? Like, Awesome wisely waiting until his support is in a good position. Now they're maybe looking to make another play on this Alistar. At least going to get some good damage, but Kara is here. Maybe they want more. They popped the Alistar ultimate. That is big.
Yeah, that is exactly what they wanted, is they got that one out. We'll see if Hong has that back up for the next fight. I don't think he's going to get that one back up in time, as he is not level 11 yet. There is so much ability haste on his champion. So we'll be cutting it a little bit close. What FPX does guarantee with sending Cow back now and no ultimate is that they do get full control over this bot side river.
Really big for them. They got some good wards in Weibo's bottom side jungle as well. This Dragon now less than a minute. They're going to look to take out the Scuttle Crab too. The good news for them is that they've cleared out all of the wards, so don't have too much to worry about. You at least spot one on the backside. The bad news is a lot of these wards are pinks, so Weibo, they will have opportunities to clear them out.
"30 seconds before the Dragon." I gotta say, Care just burned Flash? How did that happen?
Huh?
Did he finger a Flash? Oh, wait, no, it's back up. It's back up.
Oh, wait.
It's back up.
Okay,
it's back up.
Yeah, it's a little weird sometimes, guys. It's a little weird sometimes,
it's fine.
the feed.
Yeah,
you're good. But now, this is big. Guess what? We thought, oh my god, this is big for Weibo. No, this is big for FPX. This Flash is back up. He still has his Zonias able to pop if he wants. This singular ward doing a lot of work. Just letting Weibo know that FPX are in the area. They have a vague idea of where they're at, but they lost the mid wave.
I like what FPX is doing here. They had the control. They got the fast track to mid, and they're at least going to take the outer before they look at this Dragon. As again, it has to be ripped by Weibo. 2,000,
1,000 secured, and here comes the fight. The knockup is onto Shadow. Here comes the equalizer on multiple members, splitting the fight. Awesome got to the back of the fight too, and he flashes away. Care is relatively safe. And the Emperor's Divide knocks them all away. And the only one left standing is Tien. But he looks like Tien at a Dragon Ball Z. He's just a chump. A triple kill for Awesome.
A big fight for FPX in another game one. Awesome gets his hands on this Kaisa. And FPX playing with direction, playing sound here against Weibo in this first game. And punishing this composition, Yanni, as I know that some of these wins from FPX haven't really been quite, as convincing as what we want to see. But this draft from Weibo getting punished heavily by FPX, who are playing really well in this game.
FPX, their map movements have been sublime, Cubby. This is what you expect out of a team in Group Ascend. Doesn't matter that they're 0-4. They are doing the most. Here's the replay. You give up the dragon, but all you got to do is win the fight.
Xiaohu misses out on the charm, the combo. And then Awesome in the back half. Again, that equalizer bought so much space. For Awesome to take an R like that, you saw that Breathe couldn't respond fast enough. On couldn't respond fast enough, and then Care in the back half on this Azir has been, again, really solid in this game, Yanni, as I was, came into the series yesterday, like, kind of excited about the fact that FPX grabbed the game one, and then that's very disappointed as games 2 and 3 were incredibly one-sided. Yet again, FPX looks like they're in position to grab a game one, and they've yet to put that series score that one on the board of the win column. So a real opportunity for them to at least take this game and then try and have 2 chances to take the series here. As
this is a nice fast play by Weibo. Going golden is Sheer. A couple of members going to have to wait to get there. Here comes the bullet time as Sheer goes down. Now it's a 5v4. Awesome to the back line. He's got the LPL. Kaisajin just buying time, but Zhui is going to fall in the back half. Care. He's going to make big plays. He's flashing on Breathe, and he takes him out, and he puts the turret up too. And now he's stuck in a 2v1 on the wrong side of the map. This is going to be a little sketchy. Care with 2 kills. One more charge on Xiaohu to fly in and try to land a charm, but a good shift away. But now he's not close to the turret. The flash getting burnt by Tien. Going golden is Care, but I don't think he's going to be able to fight his way out. He will fall, and Weibo get a lifeline back into the game.
A nice fast play from Weibo, punishing some of the alt-timers that were down from the last skirmish, and able to find Awesome earlier on in this fight. For me, was the big difference as to why Weibo came out on top this time around.
Yeah, sometimes you Kaisa ult into the back line and it looks really cool and everything went real well. And sometimes you Kaisa ult into the back line and, you die. But Tien's on you there. Breathe is ulting you there. It was really the only move Awesome could make. And, he ended up getting a kill. So, congrats to him. Good stuff.
It was a good response, though, from Weibo. And I really like, of course, they found Awesome early on. But Sheer was down first ahead of all that. So, that equalizer being used very defensively. And someone's missing summoner spells. Tien on this Pantheon was able to actually punish and had flash up by the end of the fight, able to lock down Care because of that. So, again, Weibo backs up against the wall a little bit against the team by FPX. Not exactly what we were expecting coming into today, Yanni. But Weibo having to dig deep here to fight back in this game and really keep their heads above water. As this game, it is FPX with the lead and a lot of scaling on their side. I really like the game state they're in. I feel like this is their game to lose.
Yeah, and Care buying all that extra time, I mean, burning Tien's flash is really important there. He's not going to have it for this next Dragon fight.
Yeah,
and as everybody knows, Pantheon later in the game kind of starts to fall off a little bit.
It does. It's still worth, you flash to get the shutdown onto Care and take him off the map, but for sure something they can punish later on. Care also burn his flash. We still have a window where there is no flash on Awesome, so we do see Weibo grouped up as 5, really looking to see if they can find a pick or a skirmish here potentially, because with the summoner spells still being down on FPX, I would like a fight right here, right now for Weibo if they are able to find one. And need FPX to be disciplined on this timer and wait for Awesome's flash to get back up and see if they can get a good setup with Kara's flash down. I think this is where FPX has struggled in some of these games in Group Ascend. And nice to see them at least show some patience here today as they get the wave first. And now we'll work on the retake to, again, look for that Mountain Soul as they are sitting on Soul Farm.
Uh-oh. They spot out the Ahri. Ahri's been spotted. Xiaohu is going to be able to go over the wall, but no ult for that fight. A couple things to keep in mind. A couple of Guardian Angels out on the map. 2 for FPX, 1 for Weibo. As everybody's congregating in the mid lane, Cubby looking for control of this wave.
And now if you're Weibo, I think that any stall, any time you can buy is good, because this setup looks pretty doomed. Dragon spawns in 7, Azir turret's down, and Xiaohu's no ult. As they're going to skip over that turret and see what they can do walking in here. But this is scary. Shadow.
Okay, Tien going to get engaged on first, way off to the side, just trying to keep Breathe at bay. Hong in the middle of the back line, but he's getting melted. Equalizer in a perfect spot. Xiaohu is burning alive. So is Misfortune. What a play by Sheer and friends, and FPX are going to ace Weibo and potentially take game 1.
That's it. Goodbye, Gwen. Goodbye, Weibo. Is FPX another day, another series, another game 1 win against a higher tier opponent than them? As I really was impressed by this game from FPX in the back half.
They played it so clean. Great play by Weibo to try to get themselves back in it, but man, their wave control, their side laning was so much better than Weibo's. Game 1 draft, he gets Talia. It's almost a guaranteed dub, 70% win rate in his career on many, many games. Now, Cubby, what are you expecting the answer to be for this Talia?
Triss Maokai, I think, is what I want to see. I know Shadow has yet to play Maokai in this scenario. I think that they bring a lot of reach to actually deal with Talia. Can be quite good, but wow, this is quite the opener for FPX. They're just going to blind top and jungle as they slam that Scion down blind and pair it up with a Lilia. So, potential for Tristana mid still. And we'll see if Weibo, and if they want to break that, they're going to throw it bot on Light's hands, which is quite tough. But Weibo going to fill out the rest of their draft here. And just really curious to see FPX feel so confident this top side. They're just going to slam it blind.
Yeah, I like the power they're displaying out of these first 2 picks. But you have to wonder, maybe their ego's getting a little bit too big. And they're like, oh, we've got a game to play with. No, you don't. You're 0-4. You do not have a game to play with. Don't act like that. Try to 2-0 this series. The Ambessa will get locked in, so we're going to see Breeze's Ambessa. Hasn't been excellent, but we are potentially going to see Tien's Jin Zhao. Please lock this in. The dude is so good on it.
Going to be grabbed as oh boy Care. We have seen Zed be played into Talia. Again, expect an AD champion mid. I'm still expecting Triss, but Care's got a smile on his face hovering the Zed. And we'll see if they end up grabbing that, or, of course, maybe he feels like he's able to drop AD. Or drop mid and pick an AD here. That is another option here for FPX. Or take a prio support, grab that. They are going to slam the Corki, which the potential to be flexed with Awesome. And we'll start to throw some bans out as Zig's taken away.
Yeah, we've seen it a little bit less in the mid lane. But still, still a valid option. And, with that, we're going to see some bot laners probably get taken away here. Obviously, you mentioned the Ziggs. Don't know how concerned Weibo is about aiming at the supports, and it looks like very concerned, as Joue's Nico has been pretty good this year.
Yes, and I think that's a deserved ban. Also very telling that Hong probably wants to blind and engage support here. So I think stuff like Leona, Nautilus, those are the 2 that are off that you got to believe both teams are going to take a peek at. I do think that going up against Lilia, it is very important to try and pick that champion. And with that Braum being banned, it really does force Weibo. I mean, if they ban Nautilus or Leona, the other one gets given over. So curious to end up banning something else. I think that the Braum just is banned because they don't want to deal with Ashe Braum from Light and Hong.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, but I do think there was a world that maybe you could have taken the Braum for yourself, but maybe you ban the Ashe and leave that up. But I leave that up to the really smart people and you. Straven is going to get taken away.
What's
as you
that
mentioned,
mean, Yanni?
I mean, you're a color caster. You're smarter than me. That's how it goes.
Oh, it would, by smart people and me. I thought you were implying.
Oh,
something
no.
nefarious.
I wanted to make sure that you were included in the smart people.
Oh, well, that's very nice of you, Yanni. I will save my clips for later. As we're going to keep those in the bank. Jinx being locked in for Awesome. That's a lot of scaling and a lot of backline here for FPX. And Weibo, got to believe they can take some more stuff to break it. We haven't seen a lot of Aphelios of late. But Light thinking about that could be locked in. Okay.
I like it. His champions haven't been that good this year. So he's just going to go to them anyway. So I'm really happy about it. I'm going to be a little bit sad because this means it's going to be a Nautilus pick because there's Jinx on the other side. I love Thresh. And whenever I see Aphelios, I get a little excited. But no excitement for me. Wait a minute. Oh, wait. I forgot.
An option.
I forgot. Come on. Please. That's so much better. That's so much better. Thresh is so bad right now.
It is. I actually wouldn't mind Blitz, but of course Thresh, you did the Lantern.
Yes!
And Yanni, you get a treat for yourself as Jouet is going to try and make sure that the flexibility of Thresh gets taken advantage of in this matchup. Big interaction, of course, that Flay with the Dredge line. You got to wait for after it hits and Nautilus bounces back, then you can Flay him away and try and get away from that auto attack. As he needs to pretty much take Glacial Augment in order to get that off, but you can match it. So we'll see if end up metagaming that in the back, in the bot lane. I do think the Thresh really wants Aftershock in this matchup, but quite curious because this makes for quite the lack of frontline for FPX, and
yeah,
honestly, probably for the best going up against something like an Aphelios, because the setups, you really want to be having the enemy team play into you and have that ability to interact. We'll see if Light is given the space to do so, as Zintalia will help a lot in terms of making that space happen for Light.
Yeah, I will say, as happy as I am to see the Thresh, I don't think it's the best pick here, right? I'm going to, use my my prowess on this champion to make some bold declarations here. Obviously, it's great for the Jinx, and, Corki will get some value out of it, but, like, you're really relying on a couple of swirl seeds or, the entirety of Weibo walking up to Shadow to really kick off the CC, or you're looking for Scion over the top, right? I mean, Thresh, a champion that is incredibly rewarding when you're so skilled, and Zhui, he's an LPL support, he's so skilled, but guess what? On the other side, you're playing against some of the best in the world, too. They know what all the tricks are.
Yeah, we'll see if they're up to the task going up against this Thresh. I'm with you. I really favor Weibo's comp here. I think their ability to make plays on the map, it's dominant, and I'm not sure who on FPX is going to catch these dredge lines, can afford to catch a public execution. It really feels like hope things miss, hope Lilia and the marksman scale throughout the fight, and hope not enough plays come down early to slow this comp down, as the onus is going to be on Weibo to make those early plays with the comp they have, and we'll see if they're up to the task.
Still nothing for them? Still nothing for FPX? They're up in the series. Somebody... you know what? They don't need...
They've seen past series. Yeah, they've seen the past series and know that FPX being up in a series is not enough to net the kill, sitting at 0.
It's too late. It's too late to Gyro if they win the series 2-0, right?
True.
You'd be like, wait a minute. Do you do this after they win? They already fought.
Hey, the true fans cheered there, and they may not be many, but they still exist.
I think you said many instead of any, it sounded like.
But
maybe they will make some fans out of LPL fans across the globe.
Breathe is here. They're expecting this 4-5 man. They have the Ambessa here. This is huge.
Oh, this is so risky. Zway's gonna eat the hook, and yeah, this is tough.
That's 5.
Gonna burn flesh.
I mean, the health bar war actually ends up going over to Jouet, and Breathe has to walk top. He will slingshot back into this matchup, but will be a lead for Scion early game for a little bit here for sure.
Thank goodness the box of lane swap was reduced, because Weibo almost detected lane swapping. I would have sent you straight to jail, but not gonna happen here. Is Hung a little low on the HP department, but Zhui has no summoners whatsoever. Thresh early game is not tanky at all. He has no scaling armor. He just has his base armor and souls.
Tien.
Do hit level 2 first.
Wait, Zhui just hex flashed in.
Oh no.
Oh,
this
no.
is so bad. Oh, this is so bad. Zhui, my guy,
Wait.
please. This is a damn disaster. He's going to go down. First blood over to Tien. Shadow is going to come through, but that's less time for him to clear his jungle.
Shadow one camped and came. Not worth. As you cannot do as much as is in there, and some unlucky timing as Zhui took the hex flash in. Right as Tien showed on a ward, and that signaled the death sentence for Zhui. So, I guess Shadow continues to fall behind, and first blood going over to Tien. Some goofy jungle pathing early on will mean that lower economy for each. That is advantage to the Xin Zhao. Stilia really scales off of economy, and that's it. So, like the start that we have here for Weibo.
Yeah, super good. Kill on Tien, one of his champions that he's really played so much and driven to great success. And, this mid-jungle duo in their champion picks show that Weibo not messing around here in Game 2. As FPX, they're going to have to farm this one out for just a little bit. Let Awesome get big. Let Shadow clear his jungle.
Shadow not even going to look at this crab. Knows that it's in the hands of Tien. He still has that red buff up. Never mind. He is going to look, but no smite. Yeah, should have taken my advice. Now look, now Xin spotted on that top side sheer, sees him dip back into the jungle, so able to still be aggressive in this top lane and care. Staying aggressive in this mid lane, playing that marksman into the Talia. Been nice to see some of these Valkyries come out around the Unraveled Earth, so when that cooldown is down, knowing that he can step up and get some free firing damage into the Talia. So being well managed here by Kara so far.
Cubby, I just want to point out that that move by Shadow is why you were a designated smart person in champion slot.
Ah,
Because,
okay. Thank you.
That's a big reason why. But you're right. You know, Kara, going back to him, going back to being serious, absolutely doing a good job in the early going in this lane, keeping Xiaohu down, getting some CS for himself. You're going to need some help to get a kill, though, in a lot of cases. Because once Xiaohu hits level 6, all bets are off, man. Your Valkyrie does not go as far as the Weaver's Wall.
Yeah, that's okay, though. As long as he's able to get some economy against the Talia, can be really nice if you're early on those spikes, as Corki can be big. So I feel like that's where things are headed. Tian, second smite used on the second crab as he picks up both, and now that he is spotted, so Awesome and Joy will have to back off a bit on that bot side.
Dragon coming up. We're seeing a back come through for Tien. Grubs in about a minute. Imagine that Weibo maybe hunting after the Grubs. And Bessa will certainly be a force in a side lane laner, as can Talia be. We'll see what the move is, because it does look like Tien is redeploying on bottom side.
I think that these early Grubs are going to be kind of dangerous here for FPX. Sheer does have that TP available to get back if they really want to contest this, but that's where I get worried about the Talia versus Corki. Talia and Xin just bring so much more to a first Grub fight than their counterparts in Lilia and Corki. Not to mention if Hong were to make his way up there too on this Nautilus. I know that he's behind level 3 on the Nautilus. They're trying to hide here. Actually might do so successfully. Blue-purple's dangerous. Jouet's too far up in this matchup. They think they base, but they're lying in wait.
And you can see Tiana's already on the way. No flay available for Jouet right now, but they might be able to just walk it out. The Hex Flash is going to come through. When becomes landing on top of Jouet, he's going to land the hook, but get hooked himself. But there's the Chompers. They're going to do a lot of work. Knockups are coming through. Jouet's going to go down, but Awesome is going to be able to get a kill. The reset isn't as fast because of the slow, but Hong has run out of space, and it's a double kill for Shadow. A nice turnaround from FPX.
I'm really surprised that they waited for the 3v3. Of course, they didn't know Shadow was going to be there, but I think they just win the straight-up 2v2 with Tian rotating. You have Aphelios sitting on blue-purple. I know they didn't base yet, so they were no items. I think that's why they were waiting for the 3, but even if you took a small trade there, it could have been CC and stuff applied before that Xin gets involved. With them waiting so long, it really opened up Shadow to create the space. But again, if you're fighting now, maybe they don't walk this way, but at least you're applying the purple gun, which, you know, has that root, has the slows. And then Tian made a really big mistake here, actually flashed into the Chompers. Looks like he kind of shorted it on the back half, so mechanical misplay from him, and then Hong, of course, at level 3 just gets melted down after going in as the Nautilus. So Weibo gonna end up losing, or I was gonna say maybe losing the first Drake off that, but it looks like it was pulled off of, and it will be the first Grubs being taken by Tien. So win out on the neutrals, but unforced error from them in the bot side, and I think really mismanaged by Light and Hong.
Yeah, and then, you know, FPX, they went and tried to greed for the Dragon and, you know, mess up your tempo a little bit, right? This Dragon is still up. You would have really loved to have it because Ocean Dragon, pretty solid one when you're in the laning phase. You lose out on the Grubs, so Weibo, as you said, coming up on the objective trade, and maybe we'll still have some opportunities to try and get this Dragon themselves. 7.5 minutes into this game right now. Still waiting for Xiaohu to make his big move on this Talia that was first.
I do have a pause in the action here, as Shadow going to look to at least dive in to take the enemy Raptors. But Dragon, both teams might be looking at in the back half, as I will say, I still think the fight's a little bit scary here for FPX, just given the strength of the Xin Zhao and what Talia can bring to a fight. So we're going to have to rely on the priority that Corki and Jinx can net if they do want to take this Dragon. I think avoiding a fight going to be important. And Sheer did TP top, whereas Breathe has TP up to get involved. So Weibo do have an opportunity to find a numbers advantage here if they really want it, but looks like they're okay with dropping this one.
I am a little surprised. Aphelios has a BF sword in the inventory. Easily the strongest member, or maybe at least matching with Shadow. But, you know, electing to just take the scaling there. As we all know, Aphelios, champion that scales incredibly well. So not too much of a need to actually push the pace if you don't want to.
I do appreciate the walk from Sheer. It was just walking down the river to threaten a Scion R in case the fight was taken in the river by Weibo. So, of course, no TP on Sheer doesn't mean that he can't get involved. I'm going to try and get involved on the blue buff take, and that's just going to be yoinked by Tian. There's no way you can contest this. And, yeah, it rightfully dropped. So, good job by Weibo, again, to throw a little bit of their weight around. We'll see if this continues into a potential bot lane dive as no TPs to respond here for FPX.
That should slow up Shadow. I mean, he's already out of mana, and he's got to clear this top side, right? So, at least something to worry about. Hook does not land. What a prediction! Hung forcing the flash out of awesome. That was awesome.
Wow, what a hook getting him out of the Lantern. That's one way to deal with Thresh. Is Awesome going to be sent all the way back to his inner turret. And that will net a couple plates and a couple for the Aphelios, a couple missed waves and golden experience for the Jinx. Good play there by Hong. As Zhui is going to hit 6, and we're going to see what he can do. He's
got a box. I love making these plays.
Aftershock.
All right, I like this. Hong doing a good job, though, eating those walls to make sure that Light is able to walk out without a problem, but I respect it.
That was crazy. Wasn't a huge fan of that one. Didn't exactly know what we were doing there for Zhui, but, you know.
Trying to make sure they don't get more damage on the turn, you know?
Yeah. But what do we really
try?
Get, Yanni?
Super Mega Death Rocket? Not gonna land. I respect that too. You gotta miss 100% of the shots.
That one I do respect. That one actually has a chance to like slow down tempo, whereas the Thresh play really did not. So we'll see if any plays come up where the box might have been valuable. We're going to use that one though, regardless of what we think here up here on the casting desk, and the game going to continue here. Again, FPX really feel like as time goes on, the scaling of the Corki of the Jinx could kick into critical mass later on. But the onus of execution, really tough for them to play this composition. I just think they're really going to struggle to see who catches the dredge lines, who can catch a Xin Zhao engage, and who can deal with Ambest in the backline. These are all questions that I'm not sure if FPX can truly answer outside of an unreal performance from Sheer and Zhui trying to manage this with a little bit of a hodgepodge front line between Scion and Thresh.
FPX moving as a unit, 5 strong to head over to these grubs. Breathe does have teleport available, and the grubs have been started by Shadow. Teleport's going to be coming in behind the pit. Hong and Light on one side. The pincer could come in hot and heavy soon. They're going to take one away, but the team is split up. Cares to go over the wall, and the hook misses on Xiaohu, but Xiaohu's going to die on the one side. Meanwhile, in the back of the fight, Shadow is caught, and he is down. Breathe gets that kill. Tian is going to fall, and FPX is winning the fight. Asuma's getting excited, but Sheer trying to flash to get in the way of Hong, and he wasn't able to do so, but they're flashing after Hong. They've got plenty of damage and the kill, but there is the ultimate coming through from Breathe. He's caught in a 1v4. Can he find Care? He can't find Care. He don't care. Double kill picked up, and FPX running that fight.
And this series continues to get more interesting as they ran the fight, but it started with Xiaohu running it down. The Weaver's Wall got off on the wrong side of the freeway, was taken down by FPX, who really isolated him out, got nothing done in the fight. And then Tian, yes, he traded out for Shadow, but he traded out. The resets came in on Jinx, and this double Marksman comp just won a fight at second grubs. That's huge for FPX moving forward as, again, Xiaohu, I don't know why he got off on this side, and I love that, really the turn from Zhui, so convincing onto Xiaohu, who got the fight off to such a positive start. Sheer's doing a really nice job of buying space. Aphelios having trouble interacting in the back half. And with Awesome getting another reset, Hong being so far behind, they chase down the Nautilus, pull off another reset, and make this fight look easy. With a nice save from Zhui in the back half to really follow up this public execution and save Care. That was looking pretty nice, pretty schnasty at the back half there on the Thresh.
Yeah, that was a well-timed hook. Oh, it's just
nice toggle. We missed the vision break. That was big.
Yeah.
We return live. Dives on both sides. Top laner's going down.
Oh, we're going to get the Lantern in for Care. He's going to take one turret shot on the other side, but
that's big.
Breathe is able to dodge out of the rocket. Now the question is, how long is it going to take for them to take out Breathe?
Okay, he's dead.
He's trying to sprint away, but yeah, no Drakehound step left. He's going to sidestep. Who's going to... Oh, he might give the kill to Awesome here. This is really bad. Breathe. There wasn't a good person to give it to, but man, that's rough.
I would have rather have given it to Corki than the Jinx.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, that's a bit of an oopsie there. So on the back half, we'll say that because that play took longer for FPX, that did slow down the tempo a little bit. There's still one grub on the board. FPX, though, sticking with their strong side bot, will start getting through this dragon, and Corki going to start looking at that turret. As things still look good here for FPX. Again, they have a little bit of a gold lead. They have a ton of scaling on their side with the double marksman and the Villia. And for Weibo, we said early on that the onus was kind of on them to make some plays here, Yanni. The first few plays we've seen from them have not been good. Xiaohu's really not had an impact on this first pick Talia this game. I know he got counter-picked, but it's been Kara having a much bigger impact on this game and, frankly, on this series.
Yeah, that first ultimate was not it for Xiaohu, and now we have to start talking about, well, if it ain't going to be Xiaohu on his Talia, it's got to be Light on this Aphelios. Remember we talked about this is one of his better champions that he's played throughout his career. Champions that are seen as being out of the meta just a little bit, but Aphelios has had a couple of picks. I mean, now I'm looking for Light to be the guy because he hasn't been disrupted. But the problem is, Awesome is just ahead by quite a bit, even though the gold is even.
And, I mean, he's going to have so much range to pack, too, later on. This Nautilus can be paper in the front line if you do stall it out well. I just think that the way they fought into that Scion, the ability for Sheer to hold space against the Aphelios, was so important in that last fight. And could be really important in future fights here. It's going to be something that Weibo has to deal with. But at the moment, Weibo getting control over this top side. Xiaohu has not been spotted hovering up top. They already sacked the bot outer turret, so going to look to secure top outer. Care doing a nice job of respecting this. As Weibo actually snows this all the way into the red buff. Now we might get a fight or a skirmish.
All right, let's see if we can blow up the Nautilus, but the Knockup's going to go on to carry. Here comes the public execution.
The synergy.
He got pulled away! Oh, the anti-synergy, as you said, and Awesome is going to get a kill, and it's going to be time for him to potentially reset.
Sheer.
Light's going to have to flash over the wall, but they're going to land the Knockup on the Sheer, but no Swirl Seeds have landed. The hook just to get over the wall. Zhui trying to get close, but that play was doing nothing, and now the play is split. He's got to flash back over the wall. Awesome on one side, Sheer on the other side. Shadow ready to go, trying to make plays. Sheer in the thick of things, knocking up two. They're going to look for Tien. Tien's going to go down. Awesome gets another kill. Will they find more? Flash, knock up, chunked, but Breathe in melee range, cutting them up. Awesome, going a little too far, but he flashes the wall to find Xiaohu. He's in melee range of Breathe, and he don't give a damn. He picks up another one. Triple kill for Awesome.
And FPX, they're looking not just to win a game, but actually win the series, and looking good in this one as, again, that force from Weibo. It was a good pick on Akara, but this synergy coming out from Hong and Breathe, the dredge line pulled him out of the public execution that was being perfectly set up by a depth charge. So Weibo not on the same page. That was critical for making sure this fight went sideways. As again, look at this depth charge from Hong. It's good. It's going to ring true on Akara. The dredge line, though, yoinks him out of the public execution. And the Lantern yoinks him out of being on the wrong side of the free state, or the freeway on the Weaver's Wall. Xiaohu gets stuck in the back half. Light's in a terrible spot, has to flash out. And then the space bot from Zhui. I know this is a little bit funky, taking the death sentence over like this, but he stalled and corralled Weibo in as Shadow and Sheer were able to rotate. And Sheer, again, he goes down in this fight, but the Scion was so big, created so much space. He did his job and more in this one in helping the Jinx clean up.
This champion is a menace, my friend. I mean, he's tanking up so much. Breathe is at least finally able to get in there.
Yeah, and then
Awesome. Yo, I respect the hell out of this. This guy has played incredibly this game. And look at the picture-in-picture. We're in a fight. Super Mega Death Rocket not going to land. The Herald does go down. Let's see if we're going to get any more fighting. Good dodges on the Swirl Seeds. Tien onto the side. Hook coming down on the Sheer. But Hong is caught out. The knockup is there. They found Awesome. Awesome down to half. Awesome is dead as Breathe is chopping him down. Sheer's on the other side trying to buy space, but he goes down. But multiple members going to sleep. Can they capitalize? This is Kare's fight to win, but he can't get close. He's got no mana. Breathe looking to walk out of this one, but he can't dodge out on enough Swirl Seeds. It was a disaster, but the crisis was averted. Or was it? Wait, Care. He's looking to kill Light, but he gets knocked up. He's got to flash away. Hook goes down. Shadow finds Light, and now he's gone golden. Lantern. But the Lantern is there. Tien is walking up. Tien, why are you walking up to this? That's why you sustained just enough to survive. No mana on the members of FPX. It was ugly, Cubby, and I'm not really sure who won it. But FPX are still hanging tough.
A 2 for 2, Herald secured, but you'll take the team that was down, probably got more shutdowns. Is that
going
mid? Will just miss out on Tien, does delay his recall, which is important as we are 25 seconds before the Dragon. Potential for more fights here, Yanni. as with some of the key summoner spells being down. Of course, Awesome blew both his summoner spells to clean up the triple kill in the previous fight. He ends up eating the public execution and being taken down by Breathe in this fight, which made things a lot closer for Weibo and really forced a hero fight out of Xiaohu, who played great in this one. Honorary shout out to Zhui too, who I think bought a lot of space, as this hook on the Hong is what gets the good start going here. Responds to that depth charge, or I should say dredge line, to connect it out on the Scion, but Breathe gets into the back line. That ult just goes sideways from Light. That could have been really impactful if that connected. Shadow flashes in on the re-engage, as this fight is everywhere. And it really ended up being even in the back half, because Kara was down mana. He was and also the heroics of Zhui with that Lantern, as we got to return to live, because another fight being set up. Breathe not spotted yet.
All right.
Oh, they found
does
him.
Finally get spotted out. Hook does not land, but look who gets pulled in. It's the Scion. Rift Herald is going to get deployed in the middle of the fight, maybe looking for knockups and CC. But now, Stragon is low, going in Tien takes it away. Now he's alive for now, but Breathe. He finds Awesome. Awesome gets shielded, but it's not going to be enough. He stands tall and dies, but there's multiple members. It's Benny by time, but on the backside, Tien is trying to buy some space to protect his team. He ends up going down for it, but it could have been a lot worse, Cubby.
Shadow's been so big in these fights. He survived a couple, getting really strong on this Lilia, as that was a big sleep to stall that one out and make sure that even though the Dragon went down to Weibo, it was FPX that won out on the skirmish.
What a game this has turned out to be.
This has gotten crazy the last few minutes.
These fights are crazy. Cubby, we said at the top of the day that after what we saw IG do to top esports, anybody can win any given game in the LPL. We weren't sure if FPX could prove it, but they're doing their damnedest to do so right now.
This Scion holding the front line, it's making things so hard for this Talia that's been behind, and Aphelios as well. But in the back half, I know Awesome falls, but Shadow, he's 8-3-7 on the scoreboard. When we get back to live, has that Zhonya's. And man, when a Lilia gets that big, said this was a pick that scales strictly off economy, Shadow's damage has been very significant in this game, Yanni, as he's been doing work on the Lilia pick. And you got to believe that when Awesome gets those sums, that flash back up, how much harder are fights going to be for Weibo, who have to deal with this extremely fed Lilia and Jinx in the hands of FPX.
Game 1 MVP, looking to make it 2 straight and looking to lead FPX to their first win in Group Ascend. They're looking to try to dive on this top side. We see a teleport coming in from the Talia. The Otacon has been aggroed, but it doesn't look like they're going to stick around for it.
Yeah, they don't want that. Just fix your waves. Again, I think that if you play for the Jinx Flash Timer, which they do have it back, really important for Awesome and FPX that they have that one. Do you like, though, how they're able to group with the Scion and throw their weight around a little bit? I was a little bit concerned as to who would catch things outside of the Scion, but if Scion's there, then that's the person who's able to face check these brushes and catch a lot of the skill shots, then engage that can come out from Weibo Gaming as Sheer, again, blinding this champion. He's down on the scoreboard, but his value has been nothing but up in these fights, as he's been really big on this tank pick.
Yeah, Scion, you don't really care how much gold you're down, how many CS you have.
Your W makes up for it, you know?
Yeah, as long as you're thick enough to be in the fight, you're making impactful plays with your ultimates, and you're knocking up a hell of a lot of squishies, and that's what he's been doing in this game. But as you mentioned, the gold lead, not that far apart. Weibo still not very much in this game, Cubby.
I think the big thing, too, I mean, this game has gotten really hectic. I think the Weibo's engages this game, they have to be clean. Like, even that fight, finding Awesome, we saw the flick miss. You can hold the flick as Xiaohu and wait for something like a public execution to land, which it did on Awesome, and guarantee the fact that W comes through. Like, these fights, they have not been clean, and when you don't have a clean fight against a Jinx, against a Corki, against a Lilia, who can really ramp throughout it, and the flexibility that this Thresh has really brought the front line for FPX, we don't see a lot of this champion these days, Yanni, but Zhui's been making really good use of the death sentences and the lanterns to really play in that backline with his teammates, but also make sure that he's empowering both them with connecting CC and his front line being able to walk up as they have those lanterns in their back pocket if they need it.
Yeah, Brother's got 100% kill participation right now. This is, you know, after that first death early on, I was a little worried, but he's really put it together in these fights where he's been really important. Not every death sentence is going to land, but his lanterns have been on point. The Flays, as you mentioned, buying space. He's really done a lot. As
Hong is going to be caught.
He's going to go to the wall. He's going to be asleep for this fight.
I don't like that.
Pulling the trigger a little early as Shadow. Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Cubby.
Yeah, I just don't think the Swirl Seed was required. I think you get the flash out of Hong either way by just threatening that Q from the Scion. As you can see, this skirmish, this forever fight, as Shadow is hitting these balls, he's ramping up with that passive, that move speed. Actually going to try and get in here and maybe yoink the Raptors. Let's be a little bit careful.
Just trying to tag up as much damage as he possibly can.
Okay.
Xiaohu is forced it back, dragging him 45 seconds. Remember, critically, Tien took away that last dragon, so it's not going to be a sole opportunity for FPX, but just sole point. 55 seconds, Baron's going to spawn, so we could see a little bit of time on the map with 3 major objectives upcoming.
Breathes hunting for Care. Care, all that.
All right, Care.
Phosphorus bomb. Okay, going to be enough to buy some space away from Breathe. I will say, giving over a lot of Infernal Drakes to Weibo can be dangerous. They have 4 members that are building damage. Zim will get tank items now, but this Ambessa and a lot of the champs could really be empowered. Obviously, same thing for FPX. I just don't think that you want to allow for Weibo to stack up 3 or 4 of these dragons, and stopping them at 2 could be big, but at the moment, Weibo don't have control over that bot side of the map, and before Dragon spawns, have really pulled Otacon aggressively. Is that Weaver's Wall might just secure it? And yeah, FPX going to drop it for that sole point.
Yeah, now they're kind of lost here. They're not going for this dragon. We see some pings on the mid lane, but they don't have a wave there quite yet.
And no one's on the dragon. You can't
was...
rip Baron at 25. I think that this is like fake pressure but they actually might want
wait,
to fight.
we want to just go. We want to just go. It's a 4v4 for right now. Tien is the one that gets tagged. The Shadow going to get some movement speed from the Baron. Tien so low and out of this fight. Hook does not quite land, but here's a multi-man sleep. It's going to be only one because the cleanse gets used, but so much space. Xiaohu's on the wrong side of the fight, and Care finds him, and he's going to look to find Tien on the backside, but Breathe is able to get in there, and Light is doing a lot. Awesome gets knocked up, but now they're going to turn onto Hung, and Care is able to flash back over the wall to get away from Breathe, and Light will fall too. FPX are creating discourse in these fights, and they have an opportunity to take the Baron and shock the LPL.
Oh, they gotta stick around for it. They have Shadow. There's no Smite. Breathe has a TP. No public execution if he wants to contest this. But FPX, it's not just gonna be a game win tonight, Yanni. They sure as hell want that series win. Might be able to do so against Weibo. As again, with how hectic this mid game got, some of the carries for FPX got astronomically fed. You're looking at a 9-3-8 Lilia, a 7-2-12 Jinx. These are solo queue score lines, and FPX making good use of these champions in this fight. As I thought Care played this one really well. It's an aggressive TP into the back half. With Tien chunked out early, Care manages the back half of this fight really well to distract Weibo. It cleared a lot of space for Awesome, who a big catch on the Xiaohu, again out of position. Xiaohu not having a good series. But look at Care in the back line. Light cannot follow up onto Awesome, who was depth charged. Breathe has to retreat, has to try and peel for the rest of his team, and cannot do so as Care managed that fight brilliantly on the back half, utilizing the Valkyrie and the Flash really well to take down Tien, pressure Light, and avoid dying to Breathe. Great fight from FPX as they come back out with Baron on their shoulders and a dragon in their sights.
The old Corky Pincer gets him every time, Cubby. Let's see if Weibo is going to fight around for this dragon or just let it go. Remember, it is not soul, it's just soul point. So Weibo will not go after it. They will allow more time for Light to scale.
I mean, again, if Light scales, it's nice, but you're always going to be outranged by stuff like the Lilia, like the Jinx, and you have to get through a Scion. Seen that be quite tough. Light has no cleanse, so if another ball like that connects, the sleep could be deadly. No Mikhails on the side of Weibo either. As Care, making sure that Baron's played in at least 2 lanes. He's going to be prepping this bot lane and working on the inner here in a moment.
FPX shoving in this mid wave here with this mid turret down to about half HP, 4 strong right now. Looking to take this one out. They're going to be able to bail out Awesome as well if they want it. It looks like Weibo, no ability to fight, but Care gets picked off on the side lane. Huge for Weibo.
Yeah, there was no flash available on Care. I didn't exactly say how that one happened. I'm going to imagine it was a public execution from Fog into that Weaver's Wall. So good side lane set up from Weibo that Care falls victim to.
He flashed in that last fight away from Breathe.
No flash, so good punish. As FPX not quite able to link up and prevent that against the Corky, and will really slow down the Baron. As, okay, not even from Fog. It's going to be a point break.
Oof.
That hurts.
That's tough. You know what? We talked about how FPX is not a perfect team. They still have a lot of work to do, and they are prone to still making some mistakes, and that is a big one, because their Baron value not going to be as high, right? Look at this Baron power play. It's only about plus what, 1100,
Tien.
maybe less. Comes the teleport. Tien on the backside. Awesome is cut off for right now, but he's able to operate at least a little bit, but breathe up front.
Can't really
Do
auto.
a lot of damage. The knockup is there, and Shear's going to go down, but a couple members going to be put to sleep. Big knockup's there, but Awesome is still A-okay. He's going to get slowed up by Light, rooted up as well, but they're looking for more. Shadow is doing so much. He's so fast, but Light trying to make a hero play, and he gets punished for it, and he goes down. And now the rest of the fight, Shadow is zooming in. The Legos are on the ground. Breathe takes out Care, and Shadow, he wants more. He's always wanted more of this game, but he won't get it as he's forced away.
Shadow still continues to be massive in this game, but Weibo with the numbers advantage really catch Jue way out of position under that turret. Managed to get something back, as that's a lot of shutdowns that go over to themselves, and they keep this game within 2K gold. As again, numbers advantage able to snowball this one through. I think importantly enough, Jue just way too far up under that turret, was way out of position. But Shadow and Awesome, they're the two ones where, again, we said they're fed. These solo queue numbers are big. I want you to watch Awesome buffer this zap coming up. It's what really, through this play right here, yep, that route, was able to get that zap on the Tien. That opened up another reset for him. Light did flash in to kill Awesome, but ends up going down to a well-played fight from Shadow. Gets the Zanyas off during the W. Can do that on the W, taking advantage of that mechanic. As Shadow survives and Light being no flash in the next fight, you got to imagine that's going to be the focus for FPX.
Cubby, this is a crazy game, but crazy is our game here in the LPL. Now, a couple critical summoners, Care and Awesome. Their flashes are coming up. Shadow's got his flash. Shear's got his flash. Like, everybody's got their flash on FPX. And as you said, not Light. He's got Cleanse, but you can only cleanse so much. Looking for Jue to be the one to kick things off with a big hook.
That is the big one. Double monster objective spawning here in 90 seconds would be a soul for FPX. So FPX can threaten the soul just to rip the Baron. Keep that in the back of their mind too, because with Corki and Jinx, we'll shred that one quickly.
Awesome on 3.5 items right now. Light on a firm 3. We'll see if Awesome is able to get his 4th item before the next fight starts. But right now, these inventories are looking mighty fine, and Shadow is looking mighty scary.
Say, a Rywise on this Lilia too. We talk about the range advantage that FPX has with the Corki, especially the Jinx, the Lilia. You throw a Rywise on top of that for Weibo to deal with. I mean, if a Q lands in these fights, the front line, the ability for FPX to control this, the space, is going to be way higher in this fight. And keep in mind, I mean, anything that connects now onto Light could just spell his doom from Shadow, as he is the one that is flashless and really has to be protected here by Weibo in this setup.
You saw Xiaohu chunking out Sheer just a little bit. He's got that Rabadon's death cap. Sheer with the sidestep. Hook not going to land on a Hong, and Sheer will be saved by the Lantern once again. Jue has been good at placing them in perfect spots.
Sheer going to hit the base too. Does have that TP to come back. As Weibo, they're going to drop that bot lane. Did make it all the way to the inner. They will sack that to make sure that they are 5 strong on mid with Sheer TPing in. Shadow with the passive is going to keep it going on to Breathe.
Breathe is going to go to a sleep. Tien a little too far up, and a hook lands onto the Nautilus. Hong's going to go down. Sheer is going to flash away. The resets are out. Is Awesome.
It's all FPX.
Has a lot of room right here. Flash hook! It burns the cleanse out, so Light has no sums, and he's going to get run down by the deer and the rest of the squad, but he gets out as much damage as he can before he falls.
Shadow.
Breathe on top of Awesome. Awesome trying to live, but he can't. But Breathe will breathe his last, as Xiaohu can only watch as the soul will be claimed by FPX.
And Shadow's looking to clinch this game for FPX again. With how bloody this game's gone, absolute solo queue numbers being thrown up by a few of our players, as Shadow monumentally fed in this game as the Lilia. And no matter how much chaos takes place around him, he's the one that keeps on throwing out the Qs, throwing out the swirl seeds, and ramping up throughout these fights, spelling the doom of Weibo. As I gotta say, this one started off, I didn't love this engage from FPX on to Breathe. Feels awkward. Sheer throwing himself in there. Feels awkward, but they win the front to back thanks to how tanky Sion is compared to the Nautilus, who threw his life away to really keep that backline busy for FPX. Then the Rywise, the ability to close in the space. Jue burns the flash, gets the cleanse off Light, who, I will say the green-white setup, I do like that for Light in these fights, but was just not enough. It's picture-in-picture. You called it out. Hong's dead, and Shadow's out.
Yeah, that's despicable. That should never happen. You got to be careful with that sort of thing because now it's a 5v4. Baron is available on the map once we're out of this replay, and Tien is gonna die. He's gonna get knocked up. He's gonna fall. FPX are gonna go and take their second Baron of the game, Cubby.
Again, so tough to deal with. Shadow the Rywise makes it all that much more harder to space this Lily or really just deal with everything that she's throwing out. The saving grace, you gotta imagine if Weibo have any chance, it has to be Breathe in the back half. He is quite big on this Ambessa. But between Infernal Soul, the 4+ items coming in on these Marksmen and the Lilia, and now Baron to boot, this might just be the doom of Weibo in a surprise 2-0 here for FPX.
Weibo in dire straits, Cubby. They are sinking to the bottom of the soup as we speak. We'll see if they're able to wade their way out somehow, some way. But it's going to be difficult as the siege is on in the top side.
I love how Shadow's the one who's stopping things mid, too, because he knows with his move speed, he can just always be involved in these fights regardless. Sheer doesn't want to separate from his team because he wants to tank things up in the front line. And with these objectives falling, resets onto Awesome. Sheer takes a lot with Care.
People are getting low. Care's almost dead.
That's a lot of
Care's got to get out of there. Are they going to turn around? Breathe got
the
hooked.
sweep.
The Flay is in. They're going to go. Public execution on the backside. Manages to find a kill. Breathe is going to be in stasis from GA. Shadow's away from the team. The rest of Weibo's around. The hook was mistimed. And there's a huge seismic shove. And they find a couple as Weibo are able to stave off FPX.
Yeah, just too far up, too split, and in the choke, the Talia is so valuable, so hard to push through for FPX as Weibo get to stick around in their base, and Xiaohu has had a tough game, a lot tougher than what it looks like on the scoreboard. Steps up huge and finds a couple massive flicks to keep Weibo in this game.
Xiaohu finally making the play we needed him to make. When the chips were down back against the wall, he saves the game to give Weibo one more fight, perhaps.
And Light, the damage being pumped out from this Aphelios, again, a pick that we aren't seeing quite as much anymore, but Light's done a nice job of managing these guns. Blue-purple, a great combo, and the Infernum gun was burning through the back half of FPX here, enabled Breathe to get in on the back half. The member that we really highlighted as has to step up and be big in these fights. That GA and him engaging there, I know he goes down, but it did buy enough space to make sure that Xiaohu could hit the flick and Weibo could win the fight. We'll see what Breathe gets. You got to assume at this point he's got to sit on that GA. Tien also has a Guardian Angel available now. But as well as Awesome, as he, being down Flash now, made sure to complete that one before the Grievous or LDR or potential Mortal Reminder coming in. So a lot of GAs and luxury items coming in now, Yanni, and we are at the point where any big mistake from either team will just spell the doom of the game, as with Inhibitor down, any mistake from Weibo, that's going to be it.
Weibo have made many mistakes. FPX are known for making mistakes so far. Flash hook does not land. Zhui wanted to put the nail in the coffin. Gonna have to flash away. Xiaohu, the knockups are there. Big blocks coming out from Hong. Shadow is golden, and he gets seismic shoved, and he goes down. But it's got to be Awesome, who's got to try to find a way to get close, and he just can't. It's a 1-for-1 for now. Hook does not quite land. They get the turret, but nothing more.
Fight's been able to hold strong on the Aphelios, and FPX another bit of a botched engage there, as I like the idea on the Xiaohu, but no chance to get through that. And Shadow was really caught out. Again, no Flash, had to burn the Zhonya's early. I think importantly enough, Flash is going to be available for FPX as we are approaching that Elder Dragon fight where truly anything can happen in this game. As again, I don't understand why we're forcing this hard. And again, Shadow like pushing through this. Yes, they get the turret, but you put yourself in a really rough spot there against Nautilus, flashless, and fighting a front to back. I think for me, the front to back has been what has really hurt FPX with them pushing forward so hard. I think that playing the front to back where they have to push into Sion or try and get past Sion to get to your backline, that's where the fights that FPX have been winning. With that happening and the Shadow able to go crazy in the back half as well, as we're seeing that Light did indeed take Gathering Storm. That is quite nice for him. As well as Awesome. So both getting some mileage out of that in the back half. But man, with everything up for Elder, Yanni, the hopes come down to this. It feels like FPX, they've taken so many steps necessary for them to be up in this game and be in position to actually not just win a game, but win a series against one of the stronger teams in the LPL and Weibo. But with an Elder Drake, all that good work could go to the wayside here as anything can happen.
All bets are off, Cubby. FPX is forced at some inopportune times. and have found themselves in a position of strength, but with the threat of losing an Elder looming. Remember, Tien stole a dragon earlier.
He's
you
flashless.
know he's liable to do it again.
Him and Xiaohu are both flashless. These Swirl Seeds from Shadow, if it finds either of those members, will be significant.
All right, Breathe is not quite close to the fight yet. Sheer just trying to buy some space for his squad. Xiaohu is just throwing rock after rock, but they're not quite landing. Breathe gets
Breathe.
spotted out, and here comes the Elder. It's been started up. There is a ward on it in the pit. What a hook. What a hook.
Hung's
They
caught.
caught Hung. Beautiful play by FPX. The Weaver's wall is there, and Shadow's going to go over the wall. He's going to flash on the priority targets. Light
Here.
is cleansed, but you can't cleanse that. He's low. He's trying to survive. Public execution for Breathe on the back line, and Shadow crashes on him. Breathe is caught between a rock and a hard
They got
place.
it.
He's slowed. He's down. FPX, do you believe they take the 2-0 over Weibo?
Oh, the Phoenix had to die a lot to bounce back, but no one is able to take down FPX for the 5th time in a row in Group Ascension. They pick up their first series win after quite the surprise in a 2-0 over Weibo Gaming.
Where were you when FPX got their first win in Group Ascend, a team that we dismissed as being on the bottom, contending with Team WE as the bottom 2 in the group, and they drag Weibo into the soup?
And what a win. I love seeing the teammates praise Shadow there. What a win for him. Again, a player who has had trouble just keeping a starting seat in